Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning. Yes, it's that way. Why? Because I choose it to be so. The same way that you can choose it to be so. Every one of us has this incredible power to choose. Write this in your notes. I always have a choice. I always have a choice. You always have a choice. We always have a choice. And what's that choice? Again, it's to choose our thoughts. That's your greatest power. Your ability to accept, reject ideas, to originate ideas. Let's absorb that for just a moment. This is something that the overwhelming majority of people are completely oblivious to. And yet, if you'll ask anyone as you start to go deep into conversation, provided their mind is open. Because remember, an open mind is necessary in order to be able to really grab onto this. But with that being said, it's something that everyone will be able to see or could see once they started to really process the information. Think about it. You can think whatever you want, which comes one of my favorite lines, you can think what you please. If to think is to form, you can form what you please. And there's no limit to it. That's the best part. There's no limitation when it comes to what you can imagine. All the limitations really based from what you've agreed to, what other people gave to you that you didn't realize you accepted. That's pretty messed up when you think about it. But that's okay, because you can change that. But think about it, there's no limitation. Why is that important? Well, because what you imagine can be externalized provided you are loyal to the idea. So, how are you going to use that power? That's the big question. We've been diving deep into it here in Master Key System. If you don't have a copy of this, then click on the link that we provide you so you can get one on Amazon. But that's what Charles now talks about. Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, you are powerful. You're amazing. Incredible. Say that. I'm powerful. I'm amazing. I'm incredible. Yes, you are. All right. So before we move into more of the wonderful, beautiful information, make sure you have your goal card here. Make sure you have it. And then also, I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to those of you who are joining us in Tulum. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. There's still some space available. Ugh. You better grab it if you want to come in because it's going to be amazing. So, are you ready? Here we go. Let's dive into this. Let's go into where we are. Ready? Boom. All right. So, we're on page 220. And this is really cool, okay? Because, a lot of people talk about the law of attraction. Type in the comments LOA if you've studied the law of attraction, okay? Here he talks about the law of attraction. But with that being said, it's important for you to get that the law of attraction is dependent on something else, and it's stated here. And one of the things that I said before is, even though he talks about the law of attraction here, don't study the law of attraction. Stop studying it. What you've got to study is what causes attraction. What causes attraction. And so, what is the principle which gives thought its dynamic power? Well, here he points it out. The law of attraction, which rests on vibration, which in turn rests upon the law of love. Thought impregnated with love becomes invincible. Put a big square around this. This is so important. So important. Now, I want you to notice something, and this is really, really cool because this is something that just came to me through diving into the Master Key system. And that is there's a third level. A third level. Attraction is dependent on vibration, which is frequency, and then love of an idea, of a situation, of let's look at this, your goal, will put you onto that frequency, which then will attract it into your life. Now, many people will see attraction as this, oh, this magnetic thing that comes to you. No, no, what it is really just an opening to a portal. I love that. In other words, it gives you clarity to see things that you haven't seen before because of how you were thinking. We did a meditation on this recently. It was one of our favorite meditations that we did. When Dolly and I did that, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Because normally when we think of an opening, we think of a door, but there is no door. Think about that. There is no door. Just like in The Matrix, there is no spoon. Because people think about the spoon bending. Well, what if there is no spoon? I know that sounds kind of weird, but why is it weird? Because of how we're used to thinking. Remember, we are born into this earth looking at boundaries, looking at walls. The moment you come out of the womb and the moment your eyes start to be able to see things, you see the ceiling, you see this wall, that wall, you see the door, you see glass. And the way that we associate the limitations we have are to those things that we relate to in our experience. Yet, those things in our physical experience are things that are in the physical experience that don't really exist within. The whole point being is that, again, there are no limitations. I mean, you can imagine whatever you would love to happen for your life. And if you'll fall in love with the idea, then that's what'll come to you. I mean, that's what many of you have done who decided to come with this, for instance, to Teresa Roeder. I mean, it was amazing. You locked into this beautiful idea, and you said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go." But how did it really happen? Same thing with every one of you who even comes to this, right? You know what I'm talking about, right, Teresa? That feeling came in, you fell in love with the idea, and then bam, it's like, oh, of course. And now you're joining us. Why? Because of this. I want all of you to write this in your notes. How is none of your business? How is none of your business? You've got to rid yourself of how. How is none of your business? What you've got to do is use this, understanding that this is what will lead you to the how. It's so fun because one of the beautiful programs that we facilitate is thinking into results, of which the first lesson ties into a worthy ideal. And we talk about that a lot here. So you've got to set a worthy ideal. You've got to decide on something that's worthy of you, not something you think you're worthy of. And then from there, what do? You make a decision. When you make a decision, you're actually locking into the idea. You're falling in love with it. Think about it. You're making it important. Whatever you've written down here for you, this goal, whatever this is, if you love it, and I'm not talking about foo-foo love, okay? We're talking about making it important. What will externalize are things that are related to this. It's exactly what Neville Goddard shares in Awaken Imagination. In front of you are infinite states. Remember, this ties directly to this. Infinite states, and those infinite states are infinite states of you. There's a version of you that's here, 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 here. There's so many of them. And they're all around in front of you. And with every one of those states, all of the plots, plans, dramas, situations are there lying dormant, waiting to be activated. They're lying there dormant. Think about it. I want you to imagine that all of the plots, plans, dramas, situations, everything to fulfill the idea of that specific state of you. All that's awaiting is you for you to, and let's go to this the third part, to fall in love with the idea, to lock into the state. Think about it, to become one with it. That's all that's awaiting for you to. Here we go. I'm going to pull out my handy dandy magnifying glass for you to focus. And then what does he say? He says, if you are observant, in other words, if you will just allow yourself to just open up to see things as they are, he says, you will see outer reality taking shape upon the model of your imagination. You'll start seeing this happen, that happen. Then you'll start seeing other things that you haven't seen before. See, that's all the plots, plans, dramas, situations activating. You'll hear a conversation which will lead you to something else. All because impregnating love into the idea. You know, this one little section right here, my God, if this is the only thing that you studied and used, and you never ever saw anything that was happening here and this again or anything anywhere else, you would deliver incredible outcomes if you just remember to think like this. Remember, this is a principle, it's immovable, it's unchangeable.